The most expensive thing when it comes to competition prep has got to be What is going on, guys? Welcome to today's video and welcome to my channel. If you're new, today I'm going to be talking about the expenses when it comes to being a bikini competitor and going over some little things I wish I knew when I first started. So I guess you could kind of call it like a beginner's guide to competing. So that being said, I'm going to go grab my list and we are going to get right into it. Alright, so I have a list made up of things that I think you definitely will need if you're on a bikini prep, and I've estimated roughly what the costs would be for these products. Basically just written down what I've paid for them in the past, and I looked up some things too. So again, this is just what I've used in the past and things that I personally think you need. Obviously you can try to do a competition prep on a budget. Do I recommend that? I think that cheaping out with prep is not ever really a good idea. Obviously there's certain things or certain products you can get that might be a little bit more budget friendly. You can buy things secondhand. There are ways to save money and we can definitely talk about those because I've used some of them before. But when it comes to just cutting things out in general or avoiding spending the money, it's just not going to benefit you any if you're trying to take the cheap way out, if that makes sense. This is something that is expensive. If you think going into a competition prep you aren't going to spend any money, it's going to be super easy, it's not going to affect your lifestyle whatsoever, then competition prep probably isn't for you. Personally, I like to save money where I can, so if I'm coming out and saying that I spend the money on these things, then obviously I think they're important. So I just made a pretty generic list of stuff that I use. I just want to do a little disclaimer. These are things that work for me and things that I've been recommended and things that I use, and you obviously need to do what works best for you. And if you feel that you can do something better in your own way, then go ahead and do that. So I just wanted to give that little clarification there. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through the list and talk about stuff that I use and let you guys know how much I've spent on these things so you guys have a better idea, I guess. The first thing I have written down are heels. So your competition heels, if you're a bikini competitor, are so important. As a bikini competitor, your presentation and your full package is super important, and it's definitely not something that you should cheap out on. I remember when I first started, I just didn't realize how much detail and I guess extra stuff really went into being a bikini competitor. So I learned the hard way. I had to get stuff like on the fly. I had to spend a lot of money that I wasn't prepared for. But again, hopefully this helps you if this is you and you're curious as to what you need. So the heels is the first thing. I actually bought mine secondhand for my first show. So this is a way that you can maybe save a little bit of money if you know somebody who's competed and the shoes are lightly used. I bought mine off somebody else for my first show just because I wasn't sure if I would be competing again, if I would even like it. I wasn't sure what I even really needed. So I got them off a friend of mine who actually ordered hers from the Shoe Fairy. And then once I used them, and again, they were in great condition. Once I used them, they worked for me. The more I used them, the more there was tan stains on them, the more they loosened up, and I just eventually needed to get a new pair. So I ordered the Olympian Heel from the Shoe Fairy, and that heel is $79.99 USD. So depending on how often you compete, if it's a couple times a year or more, you'll usually need a new pair of heels just because the tan will eventually start staining it and the heel itself will loosen up or become a bit too big. And again, if you're doing a different category, you need to look into the details on your specific category. This is just, as a bikini competitor, what it cost me. So the next thing is your actual suit, your competition suit. Again, so important. If you are a novice competitor, you're gonna need different cuts. If you're a pro competitor, you're gonna need different cuts. There's a lot of information out there, and usually whoever is making your suit and your coach will help you with this. So for me, as a novice competitor, I tried to do some research on where I should buy my suit. I was trying to save money. I was looking into buying them secondhand, and every single time that I looked into this further, I just kept getting feedback saying you need to have your own suit. And reason being is these suits are actually custom made to fit your body. You can get pre-made suits that are adjusted, and that is definitely a great option, but for the sake of just being comfortable and knowing that this is gonna fit you, you want something that's gonna show your physique as best as it possibly can, and you want something that looks great on you. So buying a suit secondhand is not something that I would recommend, but if you're really stuck, it's definitely an option. You can take that route, but I just wouldn't personally. So I remember my first suit, I didn't have a whole lot of gems. I'll put a picture up on the screen here for you guys. I didn't have a whole lot of gems on it, but it was pretty fairly covered. The more gems you get, you know, the higher quality gems you're getting. If you're getting crystals, the more expensive it's going to get for you. What connectors you use, they'll be more expensive if they're obviously using more crystals and all that kind of stuff. So my first suit was, I think, $255, $250 to $300. For my second show, I used the same suit, but I actually had crystals added to my suit. So I paid an extra $50 to $60 to have these crystals added just to make it more full looking. My structure did change slightly from my first show to my second show, which is a good thing, obviously, and I needed the bottoms adjusted too, so I had to pay an extra like $30 to have those adjusted and scrunched up. So yeah, you're looking at like $300+ For my second suit, I think I paid $250 to $350. I can't remember the actual details, and it had a lot more coverage. I'll put a little picture up here for you guys, but I think I got it like when they had a sale on. They had something going on where I was able to save a little bit of money, which is awesome. So keep your eye out for that too. This is something that should be rushed. If you're doing a competition prep, you want to make sure that you're planning it in advance. So keep your eye out for these things. So I will link Sarah's information down below, because that is the girl who made my first two suits. And if you guys have any questions, you can just comment down below or send me a DM. But I mean, you could even get suits that are upwards, you know, $300, $400, $500, depending on what it is that you're looking for. And the more serious you are about it, or the more critiques you get on your suit and your body type and whatever, the more particular that you want to be, the more expensive it's going to look for you. But I mean, you can definitely get a nice suit for $200, $300, or whatever your budget might be, depending on what it is that you're okay with settling for, I guess. The next thing is jewelry. So I don't personally use real jewelry. I use costume jewelry for my shows. So you need a pair of earrings, you'll need some bracelets, you'll need some rings. Your coach will usually help you with this, help you pick it out. You can go based on what your suit looks like. Try out some different things. I always used to go out and buy stuff when I was a couple weeks out, and reason being is my fingers lose weight, my wrists lose weight, things change, your face structure might change a little bit if you're losing weight. The closer you are to the show, the better, because you want to make sure that everything that you're putting on your body fits it similarly to what it will fit and look like close to the show. I always recommend to people looking at the Olympian bikini competitors and seeing what kind of styles that they are going for. Usually whoever is placing top 5 Olympia has the right look or is going for the right look, and that is what judges are kind of basing their look for that year off of. So take a look at the jewelry that they're using, listen to the judges' feedback. If you've competed before and judges have given you feedback, listen to that. Take that with you and use it and apply it when it comes to your jewelry and your suit and your heels. All of them should work well together. For jewelry, I mean, I usually just go to the mall and pick up some things. $30 to $50 max is probably what you'll spend on competition jewelry. You can definitely go up with that if you guys want higher quality or there's a certain thing that you're looking for, but you can definitely get away with spending $30 or $50 depending on what it is that you are grabbing. So yeah, not something that I would stress out too much over, but I would just keep it simple and have it flow well with your look, if that makes sense. Again, guys, these items aren't really in any particular order. So the next thing I have written down is a body weight scale. If you're gonna do a competition prep, your coach is gonna need to know your weight, and I highly recommend investing in a digital scale. I use the Renpho scale just because it hooks up to my phone and gives me more details. Obviously, digital things can only be so accurate, but if you're using the same thing every single time, you're consistently inconsistent, if that makes sense. So I like the Renpho scale a lot. I find it's as accurate as a scale could probably get. Renpho scale can go from $39 to $50, $60, and upwards from there. Obviously, you don't need to have the exact same scale that I have. I just really like this one and find it gives me a lot more information. But if you just want a basic digital scale, you could probably get away with spending $20, $30 at like Walmart or something. So yeah, you're gonna need one though. And I didn't have one when I first started working with my coach, and that was something that I had to drop some money on. So keep that in mind. And I guess when we're talking about scales, we can talk about food scales too. I always have 2 food scales. I don't actually track my calories and macros anymore, but I still weigh out my food. Just right now while I'm on prep, I'm on a meal plan, I still have to weigh everything out, and it has to be accurate. And if you are doing a competition prep and your coach tells you 150 grams of something, or to eat something, or you have specific calories, you want it to be accurate, and you need to use a food scale for that. So I have two, I actually think I might have three, but I have two that I have out on my counter at all times, and I will take them with me everywhere. So batteries for your food scale, I mean, you could probably get a scale, a digital scale for like $20. Costco has the huge ones for like $30, I think, but definitely need to get a food scale if you're going to be doing a competition prep, regardless if you're on a meal plan or if you're tracking your calories or macros. So I wrote down this object, and it is a watch. So you don't necessarily need a fitness watch or a smartwatch, as you might call it. I have an Apple Watch. I had a Fitbit for a couple of years before I had my Apple Watch. I really love the Apple Watch because, again, same as a scale, it's consistently inconsistent, and obviously a scale is a scale and it's giving you your weight and that's accurate, but when I'm saying consistently inconsistent, it's the other measurements like water weight and body fat percentage and stuff. There's only so much a scale can actually really tell you, but if it's you that's using the scale all the time with your correct information, it's giving you feedback based on the changes that it's seeing. Talking about the watch, same thing, it directly relates with that. An Apple Watch is never going to be 100% accurate, but if you're using it every single day, it has your information, and that's what you're going by when it comes to calories burned or activity levels. It's consistently inconsistent. You can go by that one thing. So it's a tool for measurement that I find extremely helpful, especially for cardio. Your coach will probably recommend certain things. Go with what your coach says, but I wrote down smartwatch, and that could go anywhere from like $100 to obviously like $400 or $500, depending on the quality of the watch that you're looking for. I like to use my watch for multiple things, not just my physical activity, so I went with the Apple Watch after a few years because it's something that I use and I rely on every single day, and I also just really like it. So that is something that is not necessary, but I recommend personally having. Another thing that I did not consider or even really think about when I decided to hop on my prep and start competing was the hair, tan, and makeup side of things. So show day actually ended up being extremely expensive, which was fine, but I didn't realize how expensive it was actually going to be. And I actually went to Toronto for my first show. I was living in Newfoundland at the time, so obviously travel was a huge expense for us. So when I say travel, I mean flights, hotel, Airbnbs, Ubers everywhere, food, all of that stuff costs a lot of money, but if you're not traveling, then it's not going to cost you as much, I guess. So on top of the traveling costs, because I was in Toronto, I didn't know anybody who could do my hair or my makeup, or who was, you know, comfortable with doing that or had experience. And it's usually recommended that you go with the venue's host, makeup, hair artist anyways. So, and same thing with the tan. So I got my tan done at the venue, my hair done at the venue, and my makeup done at the venue. And I have the prices written down here because I went into my email and found it. $72.50 for my tan, and I paid $87.50 for my hair and my makeup. And I literally just straightened my hair for my first show. So it was basically just my makeup, and it was like $82. And now, my makeup was amazing. Literally, I've never had my makeup done so good before in my life. It matched my tan perfectly. My tan was perfect. It was so much easier just going in there, having that stuff, like just people just doing everything for you. You just like didn't have to worry. Like, you don't want to go into your show day having to worry whether this person knows what they're doing, if they're gonna be able to do your makeup that matches your tan properly, if they're experienced, if they know what makeup's gonna look good on you when you're on stage. You have these huge stage lights like glaring at you and people looking at you from all different angles, and you need to make sure that you are able to showcase yourself as best as you possibly can. And having someone do your hair, makeup, and your tan that is experienced with that does it all the time, that knows what's gonna look well with you and like your suit color and everything else, is extremely important. So another thing that I would not cheap out on if I were you, it's something that I was like, oh my god, I have to spend this much money on a freaking tan, like, and my makeup, like, can I do my own, you know what I mean? And no. I am so happy I spent the money, because show day came around, I had to just sit down and chill, and someone did my hair, my makeup, my tan, and I just didn't have to think twice. And that's what you want. You want to make sure that you aren't stressed out about anything at all. I have gotten friends and different people to do my hair and makeup now, because I kind of know what I need done and what works best with me, but that comes with experience and also doing your research. But if it's your first show, I highly recommend just going with the venue. If your coach is familiar with the venue or that kind of stuff, then ask your coach their opinion too, because usually if they are coaching you as a competitor, they've coached others and they can, you know, give you some, I guess, insight on what places you should go with or what places you should avoid. So the next thing is the membership fees. Obviously your gym membership fee is going to cost you money. You're going to have to be working out throughout this prep and you need to have the equipment that you need available. I think gym membership fees can go anywhere from like $30 to $50, higher depending on where you're going, but that's something that you have to remember, that you're still paying for that gym membership fee every single month. You also have your federation fees and your show fees. So again, these are fees that I just was not even thinking about. I didn't even realize you had to have a membership to compete. So I compete in the Canadian Physique Alliance, so it's CPA, and I think that fee runs anywhere from like $130 to $150 a year, and it lasts you the entire year. You get a card number, a membership number, and you need this to be able to compete anywhere in the CPA. So that is something that I was not aware of, which now makes sense, but I just didn't know, and you wouldn't know if you didn't start. So, and you have your show fees. So every time you compete in a certain class at a show, you have to pay a fee. So I competed in novice and my height class for my first show. That means I had to pay the novice fee and my height class fee. So every time you're stepping on stage for a new class or a new division, you are gonna pay that fee. If you're competing in a natural show, you're gonna pay a little bit more because getting tested or having those things available costs more. So depending on the promoters and where the show is and what is put into it, show costs will vary. You're looking at anywhere from like $100 for a class to $150 for a class. Really depends on the show, how many athletes are registered, what they, you know, put off within the show, but you're looking at a couple $100s. Especially as a novice athlete, you want to compete in novice, which means you're competing against all other novice athletes. Everyone is novice. It's their first time stepping on stage, and it's just some extra exposure, as well as lets the judges know that this is your first time. So you also want to compete in your height class, which is anybody who is that same height as you is going to step on stage the same time as you, and that's how they can compare you to people who are relevant to your height size, I guess. You're also going to need a posing suit for your check-ins with your coach. So if you have a bikini and that works well for you and for your coach, then that will work. I mean, you can get bikinis for $15, $20, $30. I recommend getting something, especially the closer you get to your show, something that is similar fitting to your actual suit. And reason being is the way that you move or position yourself as you're posing and checking in with your coach or your posing coach is how you're gonna move and look and whatnot on stage. So as they're tweaking things, as you're making your routine up, you wanna make sure that you're in something that is similar to your competition suit so they can really get the full look and you can get the full feel of what it's gonna look like. Next couple of things I'm gonna talk about are things that I just have. So I have a robe, I use this for show day. Mine was like $40. It's just a nice lightweight silky robe. Doesn't take my tan off or anything like that, but I like to have that every single show day. I have a pair of sandals, flip-flops that don't rub my feet for show day. Same thing, I think they were like $30, $40. So what I'll probably do as I get closer to my show, like when I'm a week out or something, is just run through with you guys what I take on show day, like what's in my suitcase, my bag, and what I need. So you get more of a general idea on specifics for me, but those are some things that I spent money on my first show. Obviously, your food is gonna be a huge expense. I did not realize how much money I was gonna spend on food monthly when I started my first competition prep, because you're more particular over choosing more nutritious foods, keeping things in stock all the time, always meal prepping, having enough containers, having a lunch bag. Having all those things becomes a lot more important to you versus if you're just tracking and living kind of everyday life. You can have a little bit more fun with it and be more flexible and go as you please. With prep, you want to make sure that you're always prepared and you always have everything that you need. So I definitely found food to be a higher expense, but obviously worth it. Another thing that is similar to food would be your vitamins and your supplements. Obviously, I talk about the supplements and vitamins that I personally use, what works for me here on my channel all the time, and that can be a huge expense. Now, if you're shopping at Jack Factory and you use my code TBT, you will save 20% off. So I'm just gonna throw that in there and let you guys know that if you're trying to save some money, use my code and support your girl. But this will vary based on the person and based on what your coach wants you to use. So obviously I think taking multivitamins and certain vitamins are super beneficial. Other things that are probably similar for everybody, but if you're using protein powders, different things like that, you will see your expenses increase, especially if you're being particular on prep. You want to make sure you have all these things all the time. So supplements and stuff are definitely a cost that you need to remember and be aware of and consider when you are budgeting for your competition prep. I have another little list here of just little things that I personally like to use. So I have a good camera, a quality phone for your check-ins. You really want to make sure that you're able to showcase yourself to your coach so they know exactly what you're looking like, especially if you're working with someone online. I have proper lifting equipment written down. So shoes, clothing, lifting straps, shaker bottles. I know it's not equipment, but like things that you just need that you forget about. Headphones, a notebook, an agenda, you know, a journal, a computer, like all these things are things that I use and they help me towards my prep that I just wouldn't consider a prep cost until I actually sat down and looked at it and was like, wow, these things actually really help me with everything that I'm doing. I also have waist trainer written down. This is something that we will get into in a different video probably, because this will vary based on who your coach is, what your body type is, what your goals are. And I personally use waist trainers when I'm on competition prep. The price of them will vary. You can get them for like $100, you can get them for like $150. I wouldn't jump out and get one unless you are advised to do so for specific reasons based on what your coach has recommended to you and what your goals are, but that's another expense too. But yeah, basically this is my generic list on costs for competition prep. The most expensive thing when it comes to competition prep has got to be your coach. So I know a lot of people feel very comfortable and confident with their own ability to coach themselves. Personally, in my off season, I like to take some time to work with myself and just see how I'm doing. I prefer to have a coach, but I do like to sometimes take some time away from having a coach, especially when I was switching from one coach to another. I took some time to really do my research and work with myself and get myself in a good place. But you see yourself differently than someone else sees you. And if you are going based off what you see, what your loved ones see, and you think that that's going to be enough for a competition prep, then you are mistaken. Your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mom, your dad, your siblings, your best friend, your roommate, they're going to see you go through these weeks and weeks and weeks of cutting and eating certain foods and training really hard and cardio, and they're going to be like, wow, like you are amazing, you look amazing. And you probably do. 90% of the time, you do look amazing and you are putting in the work and you're looking better every single week, but they don't know. Now, there are some people who do know, but most of them don't know the details as to what is needed and what you need to look like and where you need to be when it comes to competition prep and how you need to condition yourself and what the judges are going to look for and whatever else. So having a coach not only helps to hold you accountable, but it really just helps give you that extra insight and extra set of eyes and, you know, the clarification and the reassurance on what you're doing is working or helping you change things if something isn't working. The closer you get to your show, the less stressed you want to be. Your body's already under immense pressure and stress and all of that stuff, and not having a coach or not having somebody to guide you through that usually results in your stress levels being higher. So it's nice to just have someone say, do this, do that, whatever. Like when I'm that close to a show, it's just like, tell me what to do. I will do whatever. If you say get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and climb up a hill and then roll down, like I'll do it. But like it's hard for your brain to function properly and see yourself the way that, you know, you need to see yourself and remove that like attachment and that like personal relationship, I guess, or feelings and emotion from it when you're putting in so much work and you're so dedicated and you're tired and, you know, you're burnt out and all these things. So having a coach is super important, and having a good coach that really relates to you and understands you and is familiar with the division you're competing in and knows what the judges are looking for and knows what looks good on you and is willing to put in the work too is so important. Obviously, to clue up the financial side of stuff, I mean, you're looking at spending a lot of money on these things, but it's over a long term, and in my personal opinion, stepping on stage is worth it. Like, it's worth every penny. I I just wish I had have known how much it cost before I got into prep, because I would have saved up better or probably budgeted myself a little bit better. So hopefully this video helps you when you're starting out your prep or going through your prep to just kind of get a general idea on what sales to look out for, what things to pick up, especially if there are shoe sales or bikini sales, or, you know, even for food, stocking up or realizing how important it is that you are stocked up and you have these items when you start out. Hopefully this video helps you get situated and gives you a little bit of a better idea on how much things cost. If you're gonna shop Jack Factory, I am going to put my link down below for you guys. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and you comment down below. Let me know. Message me on Instagram. It's just at @tbakertucker. You can follow me there for daily updates and posts. And I'm going to be uploading another video in a couple of days, which is going to be a workout and a physique update. So I'll be 19 weeks out, so you guys will see what I'm looking like. And I think based on how this video goes, if you guys want, I think I'm going to do a video talking about the mental costs and physical costs of competing, or put it into another video, because I think that the financial costs are definitely things that people are really curious about, but there's obviously other costs too that are not just financial that I think are extremely important to consider. So if you guys are enjoying this kind of beginner's guide stuff and information on competing, especially in the bikini division, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, let me know, and I will come out with some more information. And I'm always super open and willing to share with you guys my experiences and the things that I've done and used in the past. And if you guys have any suggestions or recommendations, comment down below and let me know. Otherwise, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you in a couple of days for a physique update and another video.